Turning now to Italy, where rival protests are sparking tension as elections near. Far-right and anti-fascist groups are holding mass demonstrations this weekend. Italy has sent out 5,000 police in order to keep the peace at 119 protests across the country. Confrontations between the far left and neo-fascists have become increasingly regular during an election campaign that has inflamed divisions between the groups. Owen Barnell explains.
The capital of Italy played host to thousands of demonstrators on Saturday as marchers took to the streets of Rome to protest what they perceive to be a rise in neo-fascist sentiment across the country.
Today we're here to say no to racism, no to fascism, no to xenophobia and no to violence.
Far-right groups were also out in force in Milan, where Matteo Salvini, leader of nationalist party The League, attended a campaign rally in the city.
Next Sunday we will win. We are for a country of renewed growth that will lead in Europe and will not be in want of anything from anyone.
Saturday's events are the latest in a string of incidents to highlight the tension mounting between the far right and those that oppose them. It boiled over 3 weeks ago in Macerata when an extremist gunman left 6 African migrants wounded in a racially motivated attack. Since then, clashes between the far right and far left have become increasingly regular. Last week in Turin, anti-fascist demonstrators were violently repelled by police from protesting a meeting of far-right groups in the city centre. The day before, 2 young neo-fascists were arrested, suspected of having stabbed a left-wing militant in the neck and back as he was putting up political posters. Italy's election campaign has fueled these divisions. Marked by rising tensions over the country's growing migrant population, it has seen the leaders of a centre-right election alliance, Matteo Salvini, and former Premier Silvio Berlusconi, campaign on the promise of mass deportations, should they win a mandate.
8 days before Italy votes in a general election, thousands of Italians have marched in rival demonstrations focusing on differing views of migration. In recent years, 600,000 migrants, many from Africa, have landed on the country's shores. Our Italy correspondent James Reynolds reports from Rome.
These demonstrators have a simple message: we reject fascism. The fact that they feel compelled to say this more than 7 decades after Italy's fascist government fell says a lot about the atmosphere in this country right now.
Our family has told us what it was like. The history of fascism is still close to us. We can't remain indifferent in front of the new fascism of 2017 and 2018.
Above all, in this electoral campaign, hate is increasingly invading our society.
And that hate has turned to violence. At the start of February, a far-right campaigner drove through a central Italian town shooting at migrants from Africa. The gunman ended his assaults by giving a fascist salute. Italy's Prime Minister, Paolo Gentiloni, here at the anti-fascism rally, has said that hate and violence will not divide his country. This has been a dangerous and angry campaign. What's your response? He prefers not to answer. The increase in migration and the response to it have changed life in Italy. They've become the central issues in this election, and both sides in the debate want to get out onto the streets. On Saturday, anti-migration campaigners demonstrated in Milan and scuffled with the police. This movement, increasing in number, is led by the far-right League Party. Its leader, Matteo Salvini, has promised the mass deportation of illegal migrants. Earlier in the week in Rome, I asked him why he thought migrants were so dangerous.
Too many illegal migrants are dangerous for Italy and all of Europe. Think of the foreign fighters that return to Italy from wars in Islamic regions. They are a real danger.
In a week's time, Italy will decide whether or not it agrees with him or with those who believe that this country still has room for new arrivals. James Reynolds, BBC News, Rome.